on, I'll put. Welcome to the Morale Booster Network, a platform for entrepreneurs, career professionals, leaders, and the general public to give back to the society through coaching and mentoring. I remain your host, Dr. John Ugulu. I am an author, speaker, and strategist. I always say experience is the best teacher. You can stream or download this podcast from YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Google Podcast, Player FM, and Pandora. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello, Morale Boosters. Welcome to the Morale Booster Podcast. I am Dr. John Ugulu, your host, and today I am thrilled to welcome our special guest, Tiran Jackson. If this is your first time listening to the Morale Booster Podcast, you are very welcome. Please remember to like, leave a comment, and share this broadcast. And here's the reason why. Because you might just be saving the life of that one person on your contact list who has been waiting for a lifetime to hear the message that we will be sharing. So let's embark on this inspiring journey together. I always remind people that every day above ground is indeed a blessed day. And if you are happy to be alive this moment, I want you to place your hand on your chest and say, I am blessed. You are blessed because so many people went to bed last night having plans for today. And unfortunately, some couldn't see daylight. Some people actually died, right? But you can hear me speak right now because you have been blessed with the gift of life. So it is indeed a blessing. So place your hand on your chest and say, I am blessed. I am blessed.
I am blessed.
So today we're live with Tiran Jackson. Now, Tiran is a dynamic speaker, an author, and a visionary entrepreneur. He's not just a survivor, he's a thriver. His life journey, marked by personal tragedy, loss, and remarkable resilience, showcases the human spirit's unwavering ability to triumph over adversity. Initially an engineer on the road to success, Tiran's life took an unexpected turn, leading him to discover his true purpose, which is to inspire and guide others on their own path to fulfillment. Through his authenticity and vulnerability, he has become a beacon of strength and courage for those who are seeking resilience in the face of life's challenges. Today, Tiran doesn't just inspire, he empowers. His mission is to help others reconnect with their authentic selves, to embrace vulnerability, and fearlessly pursue their dreams. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, please join me as I welcome Tiran to the Morale Booster Podcast. Welcome, Tiran.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it. Thank you for letting me be a part of it, and I'm honored and proud and happy to be here having this conversation with you today.
So, the pleasure is all mine. It's a great day in Georgia, right?
Great day, yeah.
We got snow. Schools are shut down.
Yeah. Everything is down right now, but it's all good. We're making the most of it.
Yes, and like I always tell people, they make so much hype about it in Georgia, especially when it comes to snow. We don't typically experience it that much or all the time, but when there is an alert, they shut down everything. And right now the snow is already melting.
So it doesn't stay long. It won't stay long. So
yes. Yeah. So once again, Tiran, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you taking time out of your extremely busy schedule. You had the choice of saying, you had other things to do, but you chose to come here knowing that you are coming here to inspire people you don't even know. That speaks volume. That means a lot to me. So from my heart, I truly, truly appreciate you for joining me.
Well, I'm like I said, I appreciate you, John, and I'm just honored to be able to be a part and help inspire others out here. So I'm all for it.
Great, great, great. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you have not already done that, remember to like and share it. I have done the same thing too. So, Tyron, your journey from engineer to entrepreneur is very inspiring. I must say that. So, can you share a pivotal moment when you first realized that resilience and embracing vulnerability were essential to finding your true purpose?
Well, let me do this, John. I'm gonna give a little story here on who I am and how I got to where I am and where this transformation happened. Take you back 7 years ago, 2018. In 2018, I was working for a small company. I was an engineering manager. I've been working as an engineer for about 20 years. I thought that was what I was supposed to be doing. My wife Malika, she was doing a lot of different things. She was a director in HR for a Fortune 500 company. And why that all is significant is because we were getting ready to celebrate a momentous occasion. We were getting ready to celebrate our 15th wedding anniversary, and we were getting ready to go on a trip in order to actually spend the time together and honor this big occasion. We both have been very busy leading up to that time. I had engineering projects all over the world that I was following. And I thought, like I said, that was my purpose. That was what I was supposed to be doing. We take a trip to the Bahamas, which is supposed to be 5 days in paradise. We get there. The first 2 days are great. We spend time at the beach, fruity drinks, time at the pool, all of these amazing things. On the third day of that trip, we decided to leave our resort and actually go and do a tour, an excursion to be able to tour the island. And so we wake up that morning, go eat breakfast, and we get to the edge of the resort where a bus comes and picks us up to take us to this marina. We get to the marina for what's supposed to be a trip that's going to leave at 9 o'clock in the morning. And we get on this small boat thinking that this was going to be the most adventurous time of our trip. At 9 o'clock, we take off. At 9:05, my life changed forever. At 9:05, unbeknownst to us, there was a fuel leak that was emanating from the fuel tank of this boat. And we were sitting right above the boat. And as a result of this leak, something created a spark. And the next thing I knew, I found myself waking up face down on the surface of this burning boat. The boat exploded. Now, just to fast forward and move through this, Malika was thrown off of the boat in a different direction. I was unconscious on this boat. Passengers from a second boat had to come and pull me off the boat because when I started to come to, I looked down and I could see my ankle bone. My foot was dangling, blood gushing out. I tried to push myself up, but I crumbled. Tried to push myself up again. I didn't know it at the time, but I had my collarbone broken in 4 places. I had bruised ribs, a fractured pelvis, fractured vertebrae, third-degree burns on my right leg. My right foot was broken. And as I said, my left ankle bone was showing. I was hurt. I was messed up. They got me to the second boat and got me to shore, got me to a clinic. And when they get me to this clinic, that's the first time I hear Malika because she was picked up and taken to this clinic as well on a different boat. As I get there and they wheel me in, I hear her. As I'm on this stretcher, I hear her moans and her agony. She's suffering. All of a sudden, her life has changed. Now, what ended up happening was they told me that they needed to send me and one other passenger to the good hospital and Malika would come later. So they put me on a plane, fly me to the main island, get me to this hospital, do a CAT scan, see what's wrong. They decide to try to reattach what was left of my left foot to my leg. I wake up from ICU and I come to find out that Malika had passed away. What was supposed to be a celebratory occasion for us resulted in the loss of my wife. I cried myself to sleep that night, not understanding what happened and thinking that this was just all a nightmare, a bad dream. I wake up that next morning and realize it's reality. And as I'm waking up, I realized I had to do something that I didn't want to do, but I knew I had to do. And that was call our son. He was 12 years old at the time, staying with his uncle, and tell him over the phone that your mom's never coming home. Now, I had to go through a lot on top of this. My left foot was infected. Infection started going through my body. I literally was laying in the hospital bed, and I could see the EKG monitor and see my vital signs go from green to yellow to red. And during all this time, I'm praying to God. I'm asking God, why did this have to happen to us? And in the midst of it, a lot of things were happening. I ended up getting transported to a level 1 trauma center in Florida. And after going through 5 surgeries in one day and starting to realize and process the fact that I was gonna survive this. God spoke to me very clearly, and He told me this. He told me that it was Malika's time to come home. That it was that if He wanted to, He could have taken my life multiple times, but He was keeping me here for a reason. And He said this one consistent thing: be resilient. Be resilient. That the obstacles that you've overcome are nothing compared to the obstacles you're going to have to face. So when we start talking about finally realizing this journey of resilience that I was going to have to go on, even though I was broken physically, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally in that hospital bed, when God spoke to me and told me that I had to make a conscious choice to be resilient. That was the difference in me just surviving or actually going out there and thriving as a result of what I was being put through. That was the day that my life changed, and I started to understand that resilience was a critical part of it. As far as being vulnerable, it came later down the road when I actually was going through emotional and grief therapy and counseling, and trying to really come to grips with the fact that the life that I once had was no longer the life that I was intended to live moving forward. And in that journey, I realized that I was a different person than I was when I married Malika 15 years prior. And so, in realizing who I was at that point in time, and actually having to open up on my emotions and open up on what my life was going to have to look like moving forward, I had to embrace that vulnerability because I had to do that if I wanted to really peel back the layers and get to the core of who Tiran Jackson was after going through such a traumatic and life-altering incident. So that was the point in which vulnerability came into play. And all of this resilient mindset and understanding that I had to open up and be vulnerable led to shifting my mindset as I started to move forward from that point beyond.
Man, my oh my, wow, man. So sorry for your loss, man.
Well, thankfully, I appreciate it, John.
Wow, that was a life changing moment. What was meant to be
Yeah,
fun activity. So sorry to hear that, man.
I
So
appreciate it.
sorry
I
to hear that.
appreciate it.
And how's your son now? I think he should be about like
Yeah, he's
26.
19 now. He's
Oh, okay,
19
oh,
now. He's
okay,
he's doing pretty good now. As you can imagine, it was a very very difficult adjustment for not just myself but for him.
okay.
And as I said before we went on this trip, both Malika and I had to travel a lot. And so when she would be gone on her work trips, I would be here with him and vice versa. Well, after we got back to trying to get back to what normalcy was, he treated it as if mom was just gone on a long work trip. And so in his mind, he compartmentalized it as if she was going to come back. She just hadn't come back yet. But the
Mm,
reality of it was he was in denial. And denial is the enemy of acceptance. And
mm,
until we got to a place of acceptance, that was when we were finally able to start making the changes that were needed in order for us to be able to accept that and move forward with life. Now, it wasn't easy. We both went through an emotional roller coaster. We'd have times where we were happy. We'd have times where we were sad. We had times where we were angry. We had times where we didn't want to try to understand what life was going to be without her. But ultimately, over time, we both grew from a emotional awareness standpoint, and actually our relationship grew even tighter than what it was before. And he was one of the greatest sources of resilience and strength for me as I was trying to put my life back together. And I knew that I needed to be strong for him as he was maturing into a young man. So with all that said, he is a young man, one of the most emotionally mature 19-year-olds that you could encounter, partly because of having to get through and overcome such a traumatic and sudden loss at a young age. But we definitely worked together through the healing process, and he's in a good place. Can't hear you,
yeah,
John.
I am glad to know he's in a good place, and I know God will definitely grant you more grace, more wisdom, more knowledge, continuous understanding, and the ability to take your life and that of your son to greater heights. God has already empowered you. Um, like you already know, we were all made in the image and likeness of God, right?
Yeah.
That automatically qualifies you to be a priest, a prophet, and a king. That's who you are. So, and that's who he is. And I
Yes.
know for sure you would constantly remind him of who he is. Man, such a, such a man, such a tough story there. But it's all right. Everything happens for a reason. At least at this point, we were all sent into this world on purpose, with a purpose, and for a purpose. So, yes, your wife fulfilled her purpose here on earth.
Amen.
We cannot question God.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So, I've got another question I want to ask you. So, you typically emphasize the importance of embracing vulnerability in order to thrive. So, how do you think vulnerability plays a role in fostering a growth mindset? And how can others use it as a tool to unlock their full potential?
So here's my thought on vulnerability. First off, I had to be vulnerable if I wanted to grow out of this emotional dysfunction that I was living in at the time after my wife's passing and after going through that accident. They had to amputate my left leg. I had to adjust to the identity of not being who I once was physically. I had to learn how to walk again. I had to go through all of these things that I wasn't truly prepared for prior to what I had experienced. As far as the vulnerability, what vulnerability does is one, when we're vulnerable, we're starting to be real with ourselves. And if we can be real with ourselves and honest with ourselves, then we start to see not only the strengths that we have, but the weaknesses that we have to overcome. And if we're really wanting to have a growth mindset, we need to be as clear on who we are as possible. So one, we can understand how to fill the gaps in the areas that we are weakest in, but also have more confidence in emphasizing the strengths that we have in order to move forward. Now, there's a lot of information out there that we're going to have to process and be able to move past and utilize. But when we are able to, like I said, be vulnerable, understand that it's okay to ask for help, the right help, not just any help, but identify and recognize what the right help we need in order for us to move forward, then we're accelerating our process towards success. So for anybody out there, if you're looking, I think the biggest thing to reach your fullest potential is to be able to look in the mirror and say to myself, the reality of it is, look, I'm struggling. I am weak in this area, and I need to get some assistance to help me move forward faster so I can bounce back better than I started.
Yes, that resonates with me. And thank you so much for sharing that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're still listening to us, please remember to like and share this broadcast. We're still live with Tyran. And like I said, the information that we're presenting on this program right now could be life changing for somebody.
Yeah.
If it doesn't resonate with you, trust me, there is somebody on your contact list that this story would resonate with. People are going through challenging times. The level of depression globally is on the rise, it's at the highest level. The level of anxiety, the same thing. People are going through life challenges. And that's why we chose to be morale boosters for those who need their morals to be boosted. So please remember to like and share this broadcast. Once again, thank you, Tyron. I know you're inspiring somebody right now. We're streaming on over 20 platforms at the moment. So, but we're only on three video platforms. That's YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. But we have more audio listeners right now, and they're listening from all over the globe. And your story is a story of resilience, a story that shows the power behind being resilient. So now you've gone from surviving to thriving, which we all know is a powerful shift, very, very powerful shift. Now, how do you maintain your growth mindset? I know you have a growth mindset,
Yeah.
I know you have the resilience, but being able to maintain it is on a different level. So, how do you maintain your growth mindset in your daily life, especially during times when things aren't going as planned?
Well, one of the things that I learned most in my recovery were the importance of having the right habits, good habits, and having a positive attitude. And there are so many people out there who will they don't mind dumping their negativity on you in order to keep you from doing things that you need to do. But for me, when I finally got to a place of being able to physically move forward, the doctors told me initially it would take 8 to 10 months before I would start walking with the prosthetic after the accident, just based to the significance of my injuries. And if so, they said I'd probably walk with a limp that would be obvious. For those who see me, you wouldn't even know I had a prosthetic leg. I move around, I get along well, and I had to have this mindset of what am I doing this for? Where is my motivation, and what am I going to do in order? What am I going to believe? What are my thoughts? What are my feelings towards what I still have left to do? Going to a spiritual sense, when I was going through this first recovery, I was literally bedridden for about 6 to 8 weeks. And as I was going through the word, one of the scriptures that kept coming up was Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you hope in the future. I was in a space where I was hopeless, but I knew that God had a hope in the future for me. And I knew I just needed to follow the plan and move forward. Now, where this comes together at is I treated my physical recovery like it was the most important thing in the world to me. And that got me physically to a place where I could at least get to walk and be able to be with my son. And then from there, everything else had to happen. But what I found was doing a little bit of physical therapy every day and treating it like it was the most important thing. I was getting small wins, and those small wins were getting me one step closer to my goal. So when we start talking about, in the daily life, what are we doing? Find your small wins and be consistent with it. Because my small wins led to me finally being able to walk again, use crutches. I had to go through a place where my first steps came on crutches, and then be into a place where I could walk. And my walk turned into a jog, and my jog turned into me being able to jump over hurdles and boxes. And before I knew it, I started running 5Ks and 10Ks with a prosthetic leg. This is the result of what consistency, the right attitude, and the right habits over a course of time can do for you. And so once you start building those things, it becomes who you are. And that's where your identity is. So when we talk about maintaining it on a daily standpoint, ultimately you have to change who you are, but it's not going to happen overnight. But if you incorporate the right habits, the right strategies in order to be able to get the progress you want, then you will become that person that you once wanted to be when you were at your lowest.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Those strategies resonate with me. You talked about having good habits and positive attitudes.
Yeah.
Those are key. So to everybody who's listening right now, who's going through um, a transition in their lives, always remember having good habits and positive attitude matters a lot. And you said you always ask, during that phase, you always asked yourself, what am I doing it for? Which is your why. What's your why? We should always remember what our why is, right? The why is what drives us to get started. And when we get to that point where challenges come in, because challenges will surely come in, we should always remember our why. Thank you so much. And you talked about consistency. Consistency is key. Mm, Thank you. When I go to the gym, I don't go there to because I started working out just maybe like a few years ago,
Mhm.
and it's been on and off. But at least last year I was consistent. I don't go there to just build muscles overnight or become physically fit overnight. I go there with the intention to make it a habit, to develop a lifestyle, to make it a lifestyle. So I don't overstress myself, because overstressing myself, I know would make me get tired, exhausted, and I wouldn't want to go again. I don't stress myself. I just go there, take it easy. You
Yeah.
know, I started like with a treadmill. I started with 15 minutes. I mean, yeah, 15 minutes to 20 minutes to 25 minutes to 30 minutes, 1 hour, over time. So
Yep.
when I get a bit stressed out, I just put it on hold and move to the next thing, right? Because I
Yep.
don't want to do anything to stress me out. I want it to be a lifestyle,
No, that's
So consistency is key. And in order for us to be consistent, we need to make sure we put ourselves on that level that is sustainable for us. So thank you so much for sharing. And if I have the opportunity, I will ask you questions the whole day, but no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't take much of your time anymore. I'll just ask one last question, and we can wrap it up with that one. So now, as someone who's been dedicated to helping others rediscover their authentic selves, um, what advice would you offer to someone who is struggling to step into their own growth journey? And how can they overcome the fear of failure and start moving towards their dreams?
good question, John. Good question. One of the things that I think that uh, people have to do is actually accept where they are. The situation that they've gotten themselves in didn't happen overnight in most cases, and it's not going to be restored overnight. But you have to be able to basically baseline and ground yourself where you are and learn and understand what those first steps are to get out of that. And I think that that's where coaching comes into play. A lot of times people don't have a clear understanding of the steps and the process that they need to make in order to get to where they ultimately want to be. I tell people this: everywhere you got in life, your mind got there first. What that means, you have to visualize the outcome and the goal. But once you visualize it, then you have to understand that there has to be certain strategies, certain tactics, and certain steps in the plan in order to get there. Now, we can spend a lot of time trying to manufacture this plan ourselves. And if we got the right intelligence, the right understanding, the right expertise, we may be able to get there fairly seamlessly. But if we don't have that expertise, then I think that's where if you can find you a great life coach, a great person who has experienced and done certain things, going back to something you say, experience is the best teacher. Well, when I'm looking to help people, I help those who are going through trauma, tragedy, or transitions in life make the transformation so they can be triumphant again. Well, I've gone through it. So I sort of have an understanding of what it's like. So I have a unique understanding and expertise in being able to get through that grieving process. I think being able to find those right sources who can help you, and honestly being honest with yourself on where you may be, and not trying to if you're going through loss, accept that grief. That grief is a part of you, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be the loss of a close loved one. It could be a job. It could be a relationship. It could be certain other factors. But once you get to a point of accepting that that is where you are and you're actually ready to start moving forward, then taking those right first steps and maybe even getting the right help to define those right first steps is the first thing and one of the biggest things you can do to set yourself on a trajectory to success and that growth mindset. And look, failure is something that even the best of us have done. The best of those out there, they are successes because they learn from their failures. So we cannot be stuck on the idea of if we get out and do something outside of our comfort zone that we're failing and we're not going to be able to get beyond that. We definitely have to take those first initial steps to move forward in life. And that's what I would suggest and recommend for those who want to really be honest, find their authentic selves, and really want to start making changes in their life and not just talking about it, but being about it to go ahead and incorporate as they move forward.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. You talked about accepting where they are and most importantly, finding a coach. Sometimes it could be challenging or expensive, pretty expensive to hire a coach. But I want to share this with our listeners. Every coach you would like to work with either has a podcast or they've written a book or books or they post a lot of useful information on their social media page, or if you cannot afford their fees, because coaching, some coaches charge up to 50,000, 20,000, 10,000. If you cannot afford their fees, be obsessed with their content. Follow them on social media. Subscribe to their YouTube channels. If they have published books, buy their books. If they have podcast channels, listen to their podcast. Here's the reason why. It takes one piece of information to change the story. Just one. In a big book, trust me, just one piece of information in that big book is what will do the magic. So that's why we read and read and read, looking for that information that will change. So find yourself a coach. All right. And he also reminded us that failure is part of the process. In fact, I tell people that failure is a sign of work in progress. So it's best for us to fail early. Fail early so you can move to the next level, so you can learn. So thank you so much, Tyron, for sharing all that. How can people, do you have any coaching services that you would like to talk about?
Yes. As I said, I am a certified life coach. I help those who not only have gone through severe loss and feel paralyzed as a result of having to get past the loss of that close loved one, but I also help those who might not have gone through as much to be able to basically take where they are, build that resiliency, and create the life of their dreams. My platform is called Reborn Resilient, but my recovery program from loss is called Happily Ever Interrupted. And so it's intended to help those, one, like I said, get past the grief, but then also build resiliency for future challenges, and then being able to use those strengths and weaknesses that we find along the way in order to get closer to the life that they desire. In addition to that, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a professional speaker. I speak all over the country, and I help others get launched as far as their speaking business career and be able to do certain things there. So if you my platform there is called Expression Reborn, because you have that story, you have that message, you have to express it and get it out there. So for those who are looking to take a step in that direction, you can do that and find some support, some lessons, and some understanding on how to be able to cultivate your message and monetize it in a way to be able to impact others out there. Lastly, you can find me on Tiran Jackson Official, Tiran Jackson on pretty much all platforms, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. And I am happy to talk to and have a conversation with anybody who's looking to at least assess where they are and get some quick wins on what they can do in order to get better clarity and focus on how they're going to move forward in their lives.
Yes, thank you so much, Tyron. Ladies and gentlemen, his contact information is right there with you. Follow him on all social media platforms. He is on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Go follow him right now. And if you or anyone you know is currently going through trauma, is going through challenging times, is going through some mental blocks, or you're looking for ways to become a public speaker, or looking for ways to create your story, because storytelling is the basis of life. With storytelling, you can captivate your audience. With storytelling, you can let people understand who you are and how you feel. So if you are thinking of becoming a public speaker, I want you to reach out to him, follow him on social media, send him a direct message if you feel, you know, you have anything you want to discuss with him, and he will respond to you at his earliest convenience. All right. So thank you so much, Tyron, for coming on this program. I hope when next I invite you, you will be willing to come over and share your story.
No problem, John. I love it. Thank you for letting me be a part of it once again. And yes, anytime you reach out, I'm there for you.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, like and share this broadcast. And I always tell you all that whatever has a beginning surely does have an end. It's about that time to bring this program to an end. We are excited to share some amazing ways for you who's listening to us to stay connected with our mission and continue to grow together. Your support and engagement means the world to us. And there are several ways you can get involved with what we do. You can support our mission and help us continue uplifting lives by making a donation. Nothing is too small. All donations go to the John Ugulu Foundation. Your generosity allows us to keep spreading hope and positivity. If you want to make a donation today, if you feel blessed by the message, or if you've ever been blessed by what we've provided through this platform to you, and you want to show support by donating, go to our website, www.johnuhulu.com. It's www.johnughulu.com. And all donations will be tax deductible because it is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Yeah, and if you want to purchase inspirational books or listen to our latest podcast episodes, you can also visit the website johnuhulu.com, click on resources, and it will take you directly to the page where you can access our inspirational books and podcast episodes. And lastly, you can become a part of our growing community where we uplift and inspire one another every day. You can subscribe today for the Morale Booster Empire for just $10 and receive exclusive content. You would receive daily motivation and access to special events. You would also be qualified to, you could be nominated for the Morale Booster Annual Award if you are a subscribed member. And you can also be nominated for the President's Lifetime Achievement Award when you are in our membership community. So thank you for being a part of this journey with us. Together, we can make a lasting impact and spread positivity in all we do. I don't know who's listening to us right now. I don't even know what you know about yourself. Yes, you who's listening. I don't know what you know about yourself. Neither do I know what the people around you know about you. But here is one thing that I, John, know about you. I know you have greatness within you. I know you have all it takes to transition from where you are to where you want to be. I know you have all it takes to become the best version of yourself. And remember, today is the first day of the rest of your life. Stay blessed, everybody. Thank you once again, Tyron, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Take care.